Once again, I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel, Not Etiquette. In today's video, let's see how an operator can scale their OTT platform cost effectively. I would like to share some of the tips which I successfully implemented for some of the OTT service provider. For the last few years, we have seen tremendous growth in OTT content streaming. Currently, the emerging OTT trend is of streaming 4K videos. Recent days, we have seen direct movie releases on OTT. Subscriptions and concurrent streaming on OTT players are increasing day by day. So I'm sure that OTT providers are already thinking about how to scale their platform and provide a seamless streaming experience to their customers. There are a number of formidable challenges to be addressed to scale OTT platform cost effectively. Some of them are provide a unified and common user experience across all devices, including TV apps, web apps, and mobile apps. Second one is scale video delivery system cost effectively without affecting customer experience. Third one is identify the SPOF component and taking the steps to avoid single point of failure. Fourth one is effectively assess your OTT system health. And the last one, best practices you can adopt for your continuous delivery. Let's discuss each of these points in detail. First, see the importance of providing a unified and common user experience across all devices. To offer a consistent user experience, the client application must be developed with a cross-platform portability and optimization in mind. For example, a UI design for phones with a small screen may not be look good on tablets with a much larger screen. To solve this kind of problem, a common application framework can be used to create device profiles for the presentation layer. The benefit of such a common framework is that this common framework helps you to save development time and money. My recommendation for creating such an app is to use React Native framework. To scale your platform cost effectively, it is mandatory to wisely choose your cost model. Your success relies on how do you apply capital expenditure, which is CapEx, and operating expenditure, OpEx, for your platform scaling. Now I will tell you the steps successfully implemented to scale OTT platform cost effectively. First point was enable peering. That was helped us to reduce customer viewing experience issues due to network congestion. By enabling peering, you can provide same on-net user experience to off-net customers also during the peak event streaming. The best suited cost model for enabling peering is OpEx, as we are not expecting any high traffic in normal streaming. Next option tried was improving CDN caching. By using CDN cache control option, we can reduce the load on origin server. This can be easily implemented for VOD contents. And the third option we tried was lease third-party CDN. Leasing third-party CDN, we can significantly reduce the CapEx cost. Now let's see how can we make optimization in the client app side to reduce back office load. The first option we tried there was improve local app side caching to reduce the load it creates. This picture illustrates what I meant by local caching. After receiving requested data from server first time, keep that data in app's local cache. Then use that data until unless client know that data is not expired. The second method we tried there was use if modified since header wherever possible. When client knows that one request is in the cache has expired, then it will again contact the server for new data with if modified since header. In this case, server will respond back with the status code 304 if that data is still reusable. The next option tried was reducing cardinality of request parameter. That helped to improve caching capability of the server. I will explain. If a client makes a request with the start time as a query param, in that case, server will process the request and send back the response to the server and cache this response for the next clients. In the next time, when a different client make the same request with the same query param, that time server can serve the data from cache, hence reduce the processing time and the load on back office component. The other option tried was to randomize the API execution time during the event boundary. That helped to reduce a small amount of load on back office. In the diagram, you can see that during the start of that prime event, back office received massive number of calls from clients in production. We can reduce this load by randomizing invocation of those API calls at client side. This approach is very much suitable for expensive calls like listing and bookmarks. Another optimization tried was the auto detection of outage using real-time diagnostic data. Once the outage is detected, the client will disable all non-critical requests for some predefined period of time. For example, if clients experience HTTP timeout, your app can do the following: cancel all queued and scheduled HTTP requests. Second one is disable all non-critical requests for some predefined period of time. Now we will see the areas of improvement done for back office component. We have implemented lazy write bike asynchronous write bike to DB that help to reduce the DB load massively, also help to release the thread sooner. We have implemented this method for bookmark and listing call. That were the two most expensive API calls in the system that I worked on. These two calls access DB very frequently, hence it caused thread blocking and massive load on DB. As a result, there was noticeable performance degradation, sometimes detected complete outage during the high peak traffic. This leads us to think about lazy write bike and asynchronous write bike to DB. Next option implemented was serve arrays when backend connection pool are full. This will help player to switch off those API calls for some time if it is non-critical. The next option implemented was flexible interval for periodic API calls. This helped to reduce TPS on back office component. We optimized the back office component code to reduce the use of heap size massively. Another option tried was bitrate optimization that helped to reduce the network bandwidth. As you know, there is no point to send Full HD or 4K content to mobile, though screen size is less than or equal to 5 inch. In such cases, if we can optimize the video streaming bitrate based on the screen size and the network type, then it will help to reduce the network congestion in a certain extent. Now I will explain the steps followed to avoid the SPOF, which is single point of failure. What is SPOF? If we experience complete outage when one of the back office component goes down, we can call that component as a SPOF component. There are multiple ways to address single point of failure. Some of the methods we implemented are high availability with bypass functionality, high availability with geo redundancy, high availability with the failure mechanism. Now I will tell you couple of bypassing functionality which we implemented. First method we call it as circuit breaker implementation. In this figure, you can see that OTT service 1, this component receives the entitlement and authentication request from the client device. Later, send it to the corresponding module to get the latest responses. In this case, if the underlying OTT service 2 is down, OTT service 1 will kickstart a cache that was built for the last X days of customer visit and make use of this data till the OTT service 2 is back. When we started the scaling assessment, we found that this OTT service 1 was a monolithic component. So as a first step, what we done from our side is we designed microservices for converting this monolithic component. My recommendation here is if you have a monolithic application in your back office components, please convert it into microservice. This is the one good approach for SPOF handling. The second method is that whenever an active component goes down, load balancer will detect it and kickstart the passive node of the same component. Here again in this picture, as you see, microservice 2 has used active passive approach for deployment. So in this method, active node caches the data into passive node asynchronously, so that when the active node goes down, the passive node can start to serve the incoming request. Now see the other redundancy and failover mechanism implemented for content delivery system. We implemented the interface redundancy between linear TV transcoders and the packages. Meaning transcoders are configured to use a virtual IP address on the output so that the linear packager use a single multicast source IP address. Hence no changes are required for the configuration of the linear packages. On failover case, the passive transcoder node will auto start and connect to the virtual IP configured. Packages are deployed in N+1 redundancy schema with a synchronization mechanism between paired nodes. Failover is managed between the paired nodes based on this synchronization mechanism. I will give the details of effectively assess your OTT system health and the best practices you can follow for your continuous delivery in the next video. I am winding up this video here. Thank you for watching my video.